Hi, this is Karen of K's Creation. Today, I'm excited to share with you my teacher resource packets. This product is the new and improved edition of the classroom posters and graphic organizer sets that I've made in the past. So if you have bought one of those in the past, be sure to be on the lookout for revised versions similar to what you see here today. When you download a teacher resource packet, it will come with a few files. The main file is a PDF with the poster and graphic organizers. This packet is for making predictions. Each of the packets will be focusing on a different strategy, but the components will be similar. On the cover, you can see some of the major components of the packets. That includes our classroom posters, the graphic organizers, the mini lessons, and the independent student response activities. The next page explains why I made the teacher resource packets. In a nutshell, I made these packets for my students because I wanted to have a more streamlined approach to teaching reading skills with my students. I wanted an easy transition from the introducing of the skill to the modeling to the practicing and then finally to that independent work that allowed my students and I to focus more on the skill and less on filling out the different graphic organizers. On the next page, you'll see the full list of the different components of each of the reading packets, and the next few pages go into detail about each of those components, which we will be doing together right now. The first component is our book list. Right now, short and sweet and to the point. I did try to make sure I had a range of levels starting at the K2 level and heading down to the 4 or 5 level. The books include the grade level equivalent, guided reading, Lexile, and DRA levels. I will be adding to the list as time goes on, so be watching for that as well. The next component is the classroom posters and graphic organizers. It begins with our classroom poster, which is a detailed explanation of the skill. This is something that I print off and post in my reading group area for reference. I also, with my students, after introducing the skill and introducing them to this poster, we create an anchor chart that is used during whole group and is easily accessible to students during their independent work. But this poster is put up in my reading group area so that I have that for quick reference when I'm talking to my small groups. The graphic organizer is fairly simplistic, allowing you and your students to focus more on the skill than the organizer itself. This one for making predictions begins with what the text says because we want our predictions to be based in the text. So it begins with what does the text say, then what prediction can I make from what the text says, from those details, and then finally it gives us that confirmation piece of what really happened in the story. The next component is the black and white versions of the graphic organizer. There are two uses for this. The first is for teachers who know that their students can be easily distracted by the colors and the graphics and the background provided in the original graphic organizer. I wanted to give them something that they could use with their students that would not distract them as much. It's the exact same graphic organizer, just without all of the colors that might easily distract students. And the second reason I created the black and white version was for printing and on cardstock and laminating for small group use. I print them off, laminate them, and keep them in my reading center so that I can use them with my small groups. Component is the student activities. You will see that the student activities are a replica of the whole group graphic organizer that leads to that easy transition. I've also provided you with two different options, one with blank space and another with lines, depending on the writing needs of your students. I've also provided a copy of this with two on a page for saving copies. These also easily are glued into reading journals and notebooks for future reference. Finally, I did want to make a fancy version that was a little bit more exciting than the original versions, which sort of provide you with a few different options for student activities. The next file in the packet is the mini lessons. You will see for our making predictions, I have used Lily's Purple Plastic Purse by Kevin Henskes. The mini lessons provide a step-by-step of how to use the packet to teach the reading skill. Please remember that these organizers can be used with any book, but I wanted to give you a lesson you could start with to help you ease into using these packets. The mini lesson includes an introduction to the reading strategy. It tells you the materials that you'll need for each part, and it gives a little bit of explanation of what you can say during that part of the mini lesson. I also included photos of my own anchor charts. You can see this one is before we began talking and reading about it, and then this one is after we talked and added to it. I also, one thing you don't see on the photo is I allow students to add their own sticky notes with examples of how they use the strategy to the anchor charts, which allows them to have a sense of ownership with the skill. The next part of the mini lesson is the modeling of the reading strategy. This includes, again, the materials you need, a summary of the story, and setting up some background for reading with some questions. I also provide a completed graphic organizer that you will use to help you with the graphic organizer for the modeling section of the lesson. I also provide a completed student response activity for the practicing in the reading strategy. I've also noted that these mini lessons, if you were to do the entire thing all at once, might not be so many. So I've noted some places where you may want to sort of break and come back again later to keep your lessons mini. And finally, I've added ways to reflect on the book and the skill, including how to think about, reflect, share, extend, and respond. Next, you will see the whole group graphic organizer you can use during the modeling. I have provided two versions, one with the background and one without. And then the student activity, again, one with the blank spaces and one with lines. The third file is the Add Toable PowerPoint. You can see that each slide's contents is part of the background, so you will not be able to delete or change it, but you will be able to add to it using text box. So you may decide before starting your lesson with your book of choice, you may want to add the title and author to your slides, and you may want to add some other parts to it depending on what you want to do during that mini lesson. I have also included the basic student response activities, allowing you to make your student responses more specific rather than the open-endedness of just a blank graphic organizer. And this concludes our overview of my teacher resource packets. Thank you for joining me. If you like what you see, please visit my store. And as always, happy teaching.